Good evening, everyone. Actual Dracula here, and welcome to Casual Dracula. And shout out to my boy DJ Links for that amazing video there for my new channel trailer. Thought I would play that for you guys if you haven't seen it before. Yeah, got a. I'm excited for tonight's show. If you're here watching this, you're probably well aware we are going to be talking about Moonlit, the final episode of Moonlit. So there will be spoilers. Yeah, I don't know how we would talk about it otherwise. So without further ado, I will bring out my guests. I have some returning guests from the previous episode I did talking about Moonlit, and a couple new guests as well. First up, we've got Dave, aka Marc Spector Comics. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on? I'm excited to talk the finale tonight. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for coming. And we've got TJ, the return of TJ, aka Flash by Night. What's going on, TJ?
What is going on, travelers of the night? I'm excited to talk about Moonlit, but I almost want to detour and talk about that intro. That that was great.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Before that, though, let's bring up the rest of my guests. We have also got Michelle, Moonlit Comics. Hi, Michelle.
Hey,
Thanks
what's
for
going on? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, of course, on your show last week to talk about Moonlit, and that was great. I had a great time.
Yes.
this will be a little different. I'll get to that in a second. But Mr. Taylor Winder is here as well.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Good. Yeah, as I said, I was on Michelle's show last week, so because she has also been doing well, I say also, I think I only really talked about the first 2 episodes, but she's been doing a weekly show after every episode, talking about each episode, and it's been fantastic. I've really loved it. You've had different guests on every week, and you did such an amazing job with that. You have slides for every episode, with like important scenes, and it's just like a good like actual deep dive on each episode, whereas I don't have nothing prepared like that whatsoever.
It's all good. I mean, but I will say I scheduled my weekly reviews the Tuesday after they aired, so I had plenty of time to like make the slides and really think about it. So yeah, I kind of did it like a recap and review, so it's a little different, but I just enjoy like hanging out casually, talking about Moon Knight with friends. So I'm excited for this just the same.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's casual Dracula, so that's
exactly
what we do here, right? Yeah. So I had thought I would do an episode last week talking about episodes 4 and 5. I wasn't able to do it, and also after watching those episodes, I honestly didn't feel like talking about them. I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked about episode 5 on your channel, which was great, but I just felt like I don't know. At this point, I felt almost a little Moon Knighted out because everyone's been talking about this show, whether they like love it or hate it. It's definitely been pretty divisive. One of the more divisive Marvel shows, I would say.
For sure.
Overall, before we get into details, how just from each of you, overall, what have you thought of this series now that it's over? I guess starting with you, Dave.
I thought overall it was just okay. I guess a lot of our expectations were something of what it was going to be, and then it ended up becoming a big curveball after episode 1 of what I thought it was going to be. So after now seeing what the whole season was, I thought it was just okay.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of how I feel. That's I think I literally said that to someone in the chat today. I was just like, it was okay. Yeah. How about you, TJ?
I'm going to go a little bit more than okay. Probably good, not great.
Yeah.
Just personal preference wise. Like I understand and follow all the things that everybody else is missing, but they kind of hit the right notes in the right places for me personally. But like I said, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. I probably put it in the middle of the pack when Disney Plus shows. But it was good.
Yeah, and what do you think, Taylor? Or what are your
well, no, I like the character aspect of it. I thought Oscar Isaac did a lot of heavy lifting and did a great job playing the multiple personalities or the personas. I didn't care a lot for the action sequences or the chase, the MacGuffin chase throughout the rest of it. Like a lot of it felt like a really bad version of Indiana Jones when they tried doing that. But like when they just focused on the character of Marc Spector and Moon Knight, I really liked it. So
yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you there on that. Kind of similar feelings. Oscar Isaac definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting here, no doubt. And Michelle, what are your feelings overall?
So, I mean, I kind of agree with all of you so far. It was okay. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, but I have to look at it from like 2 different perspectives, I guess. Looking at it from a Moon Knight fan perspective that had certain hopes and expectations and all the excitement and all the hype that we got surrounding the show. I was a little disappointed, and I feel like my disappointment kept growing with each episode because it was like just not what I wanted it to be or expected it to be. But as taking all that off the table, just as a show in general, I did enjoy it. It was entertaining. There were a lot of things I loved. The acting was great. Was it my favorite Marvel show or movie? No, not at all. But so I guess if I take those kind of two views and smush them together, it was pretty good. I don't know. It's very complicated to say, but yeah, it was just okay. And I guess I'll leave it there. I mean, it could have been so much better. It could have been so much more. There was a lot of potential. And basically we got a show about Egyptian mythology, and it was pretty Disneyfied, and a lot of it focused on the DID, and so there was some good and bad, but overall, I mean, it was a fun show, and I guess we can get more into it as we chat. But
yeah. I mean, and it sounds like we're kind of all on the same page here, and generally speaking, what I've been reading, just in chats and on Instagram and social media and stuff, is that some people have really enjoyed the show. Some people think it's super trash. But I don't think I've heard anyone say yet that it was their favorite Marvel show or that it was their least favorite. And I think, I mean, maybe some people have think it's the worst show. I personally don't. It's definitely not my least favorite, but it's somewhere in the middle. That's for sure.
What's your least favorite?
Least favorite Marvel show. Iron Fist. Got to go with Iron Fist.
Oh, that count? I didn't know you were counting the Netflix.
I don't
counting those.
You goddamn cheater.
Okay.
No. Okay. What about in the MCU, in the current MCU? What would be your least favorite? Because honestly, this might be my least favorite.
Yeah,
even though I freaking love Moon Knight, I'm sorry to say, but it might be my least favorite overall. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say it's like tied with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Although I think that was a better crafted show, just in terms of like the story. And the action sequences. I would say I probably enjoyed that more. So you could maybe this is my least favorite of like the Disney Marvel shows. That could be. But if we're including all of Marvel stuff, then no, definitely Iron Fist is a much worse show.
Yeah, I haven't even seen that yet. But I think since we just watched the finale, yesterday, like I'm still processing this all and trying to wrap my head around like how I feel about it. So it's kind of hard to articulate. But yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page where it was okay.
I think so. I guess before we get into the actual episode, I'm just gonna say hi to the chat. We got Michael Baker here. Yes, I did play the new intro. Chris Somner, what's going on, man? Yes, we were just checking out Sandy the Comic Knight, who had his 2-year anniversary selling books on YouTube. I picked up a couple nice books tonight. What's going on, Mastodon? Thanks for joining us. Apist wants to see my shirt. It's a Bell Witch shirt. They're a band, really good metal band. Chop, what's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in. X11 Bravo as well. And who else we got here? Aggressively Relaxing. What an absolute triumph of delivering the weirdest nonsense imaginable in a way that will result in 1,000 little Moon Knights running around this Halloween.
Yeah. Hey, I'm excited for that, though. I'm not going to hate on that. I would love to. If a little Moon Knight comes to my door, this
take all of the candy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You win, little sir. You win.
What if a little Jake Lockley shows up?
That's cool.
Lock the door.
Yeah.
Lock the door.
I think as Moon Knight fans, we would all be really excited to see kids running around as little Moon Knights. That would be amazing. And what did X11 Bravo say? After seeing the show, I'm more excited to start reading the books because I feel like they will be way better than the show was, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't awesome. I think it depends on the books, and I know Taylor will agree with me on that one. However, if you read the right ones, absolutely will be better. I think it. I mean, it depends. It's a obviously different medium, right? But I found they because I haven't read every single Moon Knight comic, I don't know how much they were pulling from actual comics. You know, there were obviously things here and there I saw that were obviously you know, like there was the Jeff Lemire stuff in the hospital. They took from that a bit. Maybe bits and pieces from the Sienkiewicz run, but generally I didn't see a whole lot of that.
There's a little bit of Warren Ellis in there too, but not a ton.
Yeah, not. I would have liked to have seen more of that actually.
Yeah, it was. I felt like it was primarily more from the Jeff Lemire run than anything else.
And then
they drew inspiration from bits and pieces of little series here and there.
Is that better? Yeah, I had turned down my mic lower for something. Okay. Imagine being handed this character. What's his powers? I don't know. It's weird. Is the main character just that cool? He's suffering from mental illness in a destructive way? Yeah. It's a handful. Moon Knight's definitely a handful. I kind of got the sense that because it's kind of complicated character, it seems to me like they were kind of struggling to figure out how to introduce this character to a much wider audience, and what they decided to focus on was Stephen Grant, really, and luckily they found Oscar Isaac, who, I mean, just pull it off. Like I said before, he really kind of made this show for me.
Do you guys think that they made Moon Knight's character more confusing with the show? Because I know a lot of people that weren't familiar were like, what the hell is going on? I'm so confused. I don't get it. Moon Knight's not for me. And I do feel like, I mean, it would have been hard to do regardless, but I feel like they made it a little, like, even worse, you know?
By the end of it, it was confusing. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I always question why start at that point, because we've obviously had somewhere between, I think, 5 and 10 years of Moon Knight prior to the show, I assume. Mm-hmm. So why start or why create the most, I guess, complex part of his life to introduce the world to? Maybe.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
I think it would have been easier for the audience to handle if they would have had, if it would have just been the DID part without having the afterlife tower at that also trying to get that all together and have that be how the DID was sort of like, maybe not resolved, but like, you know, how the personalities learn to get along. I don't think they needed that part of it to make, you know, like they made that part unnecessarily confusing, I think, instead of just having the DID. If they would have just had the DID, I think it would have been easier for the audience. Yeah, there you go. Aggressively nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm totally, like I said, I'm split. I have to look at it in 2 different ways. Like my overall thoughts about the show. I mean, and I'm sure all of us here like have been able to follow the show and understand it, but I'm saying like for the general audience, I think it was just like, who the hell is this? What is this? What's happening?
Well, and I think that mystery could have been handled really well and could have been great. But yeah, that when they just added extra crap that didn't need to happen, like the Indiana Jones part, they didn't really need any of the hero plot. Like they could have did, like.
Yeah, cut out that whole tomb scene in episode 4. Yeah.
But that's I guess that's the drawback of when you have almost nearly 50 years of content to draw into with a character, and you don't really know where to tie in because the director is not familiar with the source material. The director is Egyptian, so he wanted to take into the lore of the Egyptian mythology, and that's why I think he wanted to put more into that per se than more of the Marc Spector, Stephen Grant personas. And that's why a lot of people were completely confused in what was going on in the direction. And you'd see back and forth a lot of jumping. And that's where a lot of people were just completely lost in what was going on in the entire series.
I enjoyed the Egyptian aspects of the show, and I think they did a really good job bringing that in, and it was entertaining for that. But I don't know. Like, I think they focused so much on that the fact that it was a Moon Knight show kind of was like an afterthought almost.
I think that could have been a season 2. Like the Egyptian aspect would have been a much better fit as a season 2 thing.
Yeah, like the whole storyline with the gods and all that. Yeah.
Once you have the character established, then because I don't think anyone in the world needs to see another goddamn Batman origin story because like we all know it. But you're right, no one really knew the origin of Marc Spector. I don't think you need to start with the origin. I think starting from a point of confusion and then like introducing the audience and have the audience go along for that ride is fine. But that's all they should have done. Like I don't think, that's
if this is just me, but if they wanted to tie into the Egyptian lore, why not start in episode 1 with him going to Cairo and doing that big mercenary hit, tying in the actual origin story right into episode 1, and then going there, which direction you wanted to go after that, and then you still get that aspect of it because obviously the director's Egyptian. And then you can actually fill in the backstory of Moon Knight and who he is and the different personas.
That's what I thought we were going to get when they went to Egypt for the first time. What was it, episode 3? I think. I was like, okay, great. Like this is the perfect opportunity to give us a flashback into his past, into the creation of Moon Knight. But they waited until the hospital scene and did it in 2 seconds through a doorway, and it got cut short by Steven being funny, So, but at least we got it at all, period. So, yeah. But like Magic Lasso said, we could have used 2 more episodes.
Lasso.
I think that's it because if you asked me, should we either add an episode or should we cut off parts of the existing episodes to I don't know, explain more later. I don't know what I would like to cut. Maybe the beginning tomb scene, maybe, but I don't know. There's not a lot I'd like to cut out of it.
You could get rid of episode 3 and be just fine.
Yeah.
I would get rid of, like, now in hindsight, the first meeting of the gods, the Council of the Gods, that whole thing didn't really serve a purpose because they didn't listen to Khonshu and Marc, and they just assumed, they just believed Harrow, and it just ended up the same at the end. So it was kind of like, what was the point? And that was a long scene.
Yeah, and then that whole, we have to go here to get the map to go here. Oh no, the map blew up. We have to go here to get the thing. We have to turn back time. You got to skip all that shit.
I think that was a big missed opportunity to really explore the gods. And I see where they were going with that because the MCU is getting more into the gods. They're going to be tying in the Black Panther with Bast, which is the god of Black Panther. Obviously, the gods within Thor and the mythology. So I see where they're going with that, but that was a big missed opportunity to explore it further. Like it made it portray that the gods were dumb,
Yeah, I think
they were easily misswayed, which they're not dumb. They're not. They're gods. They're just, like I said in the chat. They're just lazy. They don't want to get involved.
Thor's pretty stupid.
It is an immediate threat to them. And
I almost wish that they would have used that scene for maybe Khonshu to just explain to Marc like the history of the gods and how and why we have these avatars, instead of trying to turn it into this whole kind of plot point with the Harrow thing,
I think two of the biggest missteps with the show for me was, first of all, F. Murray Abraham as Khonshu. The voice was it just did not fit, and then Taweret. Again, it's just like I could not see them as Egyptian gods because they were just like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Like
Very
especially
different.
Taweret.
She was like,
I don't know anything about the unless I'm mistaken. I don't know much about the voice actor for Khonshu. So I like people immediately recognized him, and I don't know if I do. But Taweret was different. I can't have her more than a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Like once the explanation of Egyptian lore and the Jewett and everything, like that was okay. That was enough Taweret. Once she starts to invade the real world and work with Layla, and she's loud and obnoxious sounding, the more and more you hear, I'm like, okay, that's too much.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of what's his name, Francis Abraham Murray. Yeah. He's a great actor. I don't know if you're familiar with some of his content. He's done Amadeus. He's in Scarface.
He was in Mythic Quest.
Quest. He's like he's famous works. It just I don't think he worked well for the Khonshu. But
the
and
voice
I thought
was
the actress that played Taweret was too like upbeat, too ditzy voice. I just for like a god, or a goddess.
It was an odd choice, the direction to take that character, and then I guess getting into this actual final episode, my least favorite moment in this whole episode was when she takes over Layla, and that was just so cringy for me. It was just I did not like that at all. I thought it was it just didn't fit with the rest of the show. It was like, I guess they were trying to play it for laughs or something, but I wasn't laughing.
Like, I almost wish that Layla would have become her character, the Scarlet Scarab or whatever she is, without having to become an avatar of Taweret. Like, I think it would be cool if she had found this costume like in the tomb or something. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I just feel like the Taweret character and the hippo and the voice was just all too Disney, too forced. I understand that they had to have somebody guiding them in the afterlife, but why make it a funny hippo? Like, come on.
Actually, I'm just gonna start off. I'm gonna list off things I didn't like about this because those are the things that stick out. I honestly really liked this last episode, especially compared to the previous episodes. There was a lot I did like in episode 6, but I guess, and you guys gonna have to help me out here. How this episode started was Steve and Marc were on the boat, right?
It took place like immediately after the end of episode 4 when he got shot.
Right. And
he wakes up in the water, right? Yep. Is that where we started off? Okay.
5 was in the psychiatric hospital, and 6 was on the sand dunes boat.
Episode 5. Harold's dragging Marc out of the water to get the Amit.
Yeah.
But doesn't episode 5 end with Steven going over the side of the boat?
Yeah, Steven turning the sand.
It's sand. Yeah.
So then at the beginning of this episode, Marc is in the water, but then it keeps flipping back. I can see how this could be very confusing for some people because it is kind of all over the place. But he is Marc is in the sand with Steven, and again, it was just, I don't know, there was something very cringe filled about this moment for me, where they have the heart and he's like, what is the line? It was something about,
I think he says, you're my biggest superpower.
You're my superpower.
You're the only superpower I needed.
Yeah,
there we go.
Like that. Yeah.
Friendship is magic.
I like that plan.
It was. Yeah. I mean, I guess
I'm also a big bowl of mush sometimes. So
yeah. It's just not. It's definitely not something Jake Lockley would say. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Get up, Steven.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I already forget where it goes from there. It goes to
that's just the fight scene.
The fight scene. Yeah.
Okay, wait. But they go through the gateway, I guess. Yeah. Do they end up back in the hospital after that? Or
they end up in
no, they wake up out of the water and then the 2 bullets come out.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yep. The bullets come out.
Yeah, he grabs Steven in the sands and then he goes through the doors of Osiris and then he gets resurrected.
And Tara blocks the sand wave.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. And then I think this is where we flash to Layla, and she's talking to Khonshu, trying to figure out, like, they're in that temple of the gods and all that shit is going down with everybody, and Harrow's there, right? And wait, no, because she breaks his little statue to bring him back first.
Yeah. He breaks the Mushamki. Yeah.
Tara talking through the dead police officer tells us she has to go and find it and break it.
Oh yes, my God, that's right.
When he wakes up 3 times and then goes back to sleep.
Yeah, that was so bad.
She follows Harrow because he leaves the scarab there, so she's able to take the scarab and track him. Like she
was in the back of one of his trucks,
right?
So she couldn't have been too far behind him.
Yeah, and apparently no one else pays any attention. No. Like, we don't know who this is, but that's fine. Like,
I felt like she made a noise when she grabbed one of the guys while Harrow was still in the temple talking to Marc, and I was like I'm wondering if Harrow just doesn't, like, if he's arrogant and he just doesn't care that Layla's like sneaking around, because he has to notice. Between there and the police stop, he has to notice something.
Yeah.
And maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't think she's a threat or whatever. I don't know.
What I want to know is, why are the other gods so useless? They all have an avatar too.
Yeah.
Right? That they could have like shielded up in this armor and done some shit, but like no, they're just like the dude in the suit. Like, I don't know, I'm dead.
Yeah, they didn't have
the other gods are what do you call people who don't go to war? Who don't want to go to war?
Pacifists.
The other gods are pacifists. They don't give their avatars shields and weapons and magic.
Yeah, but when they're about to die, like, that was the pacifist who let bullet flies at their head.
That whole scene was so bad because he goes into the temple and like none of them even put up a fight. You don't even see them putting up a fight. It was a cutscene and they all Osiris tried to do something. Osiris's avatar tried to do something. It didn't work, but he had glowing hands or something. Osiris is such a powerful god. Like, what was that all about? I don't know. It was just
didn't add up. Didn't quite add up. No. And then of course Tauret talks through him as he's dying. But he's an avatar for a god. I don't know. It was just strange.
So then Tauret makes Layla her avatar and becomes, I guess,
Scarlet Scarab,
which you called before, Dave. I remember you saying is Scarlet Scarab going to show up?
Because there's like a scarab on the bandage in the hospital. And
that was the Scarlet Scarab.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, Khonshu called her little bug too. When they were talking.
That's why I thought it was a draw. Like they were teasing it, like in episode 2 or whatever it was when she was called that. So
right, when she was making her passport, and I think the woman making the passport mentioned that her dad used to call her his little scarab.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you guys. So you know how like Steven conjured up his Mr. Knight costume on his own, like that was his own idea of a costume for Moon Knight. Do you guys think that Layla conjured up this Scarlet Scarab costume as what she envisioned a superhero costume to be? Because I don't see how that ties to Tauret. You know what I mean? I feel like it ties more to her dad and her
connection. Yeah, I'd say so. Otherwise, she'd be like dressed like a hungry hippo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That would have been great though. That just charged in the city,
like swallowing all the marbles. Hell yeah!
Yeah, I didn't like that. They didn't have to have her as the avatar for Tower, right? That was.
Moonlight doesn't really look like Khonshu either. She's not a giant bird skull, so it's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking she probably conjured it up.
She probably did.
But I will say I liked her costume. I think it looked pretty good. Yeah.
Her costume looked amazing. Her fight scenes in the costume looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was great. I thought that was really well done. What I think they could have done is added an extra episode. And if they tied in that whole Indiana Jones scene where she was actually searching for the ruby that they talked about in episode 2, when he's in the in his apartment, when they were searching for the scarab and all that stuff, that would have been great, because then you would have got some good exploration on the character and how she becomes the Scarlet Scarab. How she became the avatar for Tarwa, and then you get this completely different character that has nothing to do with the gods, was just kind of very confusing and made no sense whatsoever to the comics. It was just kind of like, okay, she's a completely different character from,
Mm-hmm. They just made it work with the show that they had going.
Yeah, I don't have the problem with them changing that from the comics. I think once they went down that storyline path, they were kind of stuck. But I also I don't think anyone. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone on the planet's like, I'm a giant Scarlet Scarab fan.
Yeah, nobody's
so I'm done.
I'm cool with that.
There are like 3 or 4. You'll find them.
Yeah,
now you keep drawing them up. They'll come find you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they are. Sorry, Scarlet Scarab fans. My name's Taylor. You can go unsub to my channel. You've already done it.
You are getting canceled by the Scarlet Scarab fans.
Yeah.
You just opened the floodgates there, Taylor.
I've noticed that. I talked about this in one of my episode breakdowns, that Disney Plus loves to do this, is make these secondary characters, they spotlight them in the series. And then you end up finding out they become this, bigger character down the road. They did that with the Falcon and the Falcon and Winter Soldier. They did that with Hawkeye. They did that with Loki. Yeah. And then they did it with Moon Knight.
Well, and secondary actors are cheaper.
Yep.
So, I mean,
yeah.
I guarantee Layla didn't get paid the same amount of money as Oscar Isaac. So
there's a good chance she didn't. Yeah.
I think it's cool though that they turned her into a kind of superhero. I thought it was a little cheesy when it was sweet but cheesy when the little girl was like, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" It's like, yeah,
there was a lot of
guys all right. I think it's great and it's important we have an Egyptian female superhero, but so I think when Taweret was telling her to become her avatar, didn't they say that it was temporary?
Yeah, that was.
Yep.
Yeah. So if that's a temporary agreement, is she gonna go on as this character, or was that only the fight scene?
It's probably temporary until Taweret needs something again, kind of like
until the need arises.
And that's why I thought it was a big misstep there. It's like, you don't need her as her avatar.
I
had one more episode where she would explore and get that.
It's better than a lot of the other fan series.
Scarlet Scarab now, and then there you go.
A lot of other
find a magical suit in the tomb, and that's it. You don't need the hippo. You don't need the hippo.
Get rid of the hippo. Get rid of that.
The hippo is taking a lot of L's tonight.
Yeah, that's true. I will say one good thing about the hippo, about Taweret. I did really like the CG in this. I liked the way it looked. Her and Khonshu and Amit. When we finally got the reveal of Amit, the crocodile god, I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, they upped their game in the last couple episodes, because it was not great with the jackal thing in the beginning, whatever that was.
It was like they saved it. They saved it all up for the end.
And they didn't have to do that. They could have sprinkled it in every episode. Like, why save it for the last episode?
Well, because you needed that big CG boat for some goddamn reason.
Yeah. It was kind of like at the end of what was it? The Mandalorian? No, the end of Book of Boba Fett, where they saved it all up for that last fight scene with the big, But you know, I think Amit was cool. It was a little cheesy though, how when she was devouring the souls, she just kind of grew and grew and grew and was like Godzilla on the side of the freaking pyramid. But I did like Harrow's cane, how it switched to that hatchet. That was pretty cool.
That was nice.
Yeah.
All we need is Rita Repulsa to say, "Make my Amit grow."
Yeah, I actually didn't mind. Like, I thought Ethan Hawke did the best with what he was given too.
Yeah,
like, he was fine as that character. It's just that character wasn't really interesting, really.
No, that
I liked him better as a psychologist than
I'm with you 100%. The most Ethan Hawke, as Dr. Emmett, that was it was far more interesting than Arthur Harrow. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted more of that. Like it was more of a fitting role for him.
Yeah, I know I keep beating a dead horse on this one, or a dead hippo or whatever, but I think that I really do think you would have had a much better show if the whole thing focused on whether or not it was real. It was just a psychologist thing. I think that would have been a fascinating 6-episode thing. You're right; they crammed too much into 6, and like they could have had this season be Marc and Steven trying to figure out what the hell is real and what's not, and that could have been the entire season and been fascinating and great, I think. And the next season, undead hippos and whatever the hell. But yeah.
Well, and I wish.
I guess.
To learn, sorry, I was just gonna say real quick. I wish we would have gotten to learn more about like how Harrow was supposedly Khonshu's prior avatar and why he decided to start following Amit in the first place. Like that's a big gap there.
Yeah, and that also I don't think needed. Yeah. I don't think they just shoehorned a lot of shit in that really wasn't necessary.
They didn't
like it could have just been Amit's avatar and been fine. They didn't need that.
Sorry, Flash. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no. But I was just I guess glass half full. Now that we've stuffed every single bit of Egyptian and DID, and we made Steven and Marc kind of a cohesive unit, we won't have to stuff so much going forward in movies or shows or wherever we see them next. Maybe we'll be able to tell a simpler story now that we've told 4 stories in one season.
That's a good point. Just focus on Jake, you know.
Right.
Now, there's still Jake to deal with.
Do we talk about Jake?
Yeah, I think right. So that of course the post-credit scene. Probably my favorite part of the entire series was finally getting this character I've been waiting for the whole time, because I think we all kind of were and kind of knew it was coming. What with that sarcophagus in the hospital. I mean, when they did that, it was like, yeah, it's okay. There's obvious. They kept dropping hints to a third personality. That was a pretty big hint right there. And then of course, the big even before the big reveal, where it's finally confirmed when Marc and Steven are there together, and they're like, "Did you do that? I didn't do that. Did you do that? No." So that was it. It was obviously there's definitely a third personality now, and then we do get to see who it is post credits.
Yeah. I like that part. I don't like the big blackout at the end of the whole fight, like how they resolved it all.
It's like that's the moment we needed. Like we needed to see how Harrow was put down. Like
I think he has to, and this may be a cop out to some of the Disney Plus Marvel things, but I think he has to black out. I think if you confirm the actions of Jake, I think then you also in addition to everything else we've explained, you have to explain Jake and have them to at least acknowledge Jake in this season if you bring him out. I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
I just think it was a timing issue on that one. Like I think
I wouldn't mind in the future. In the future, if we harken back to it, I wouldn't mind seeing what actually happened and how this regular fight basically burned down the town square by the time it was finished. Like how much did you do?
But see, okay, you guys, like we had been teased about Jake the whole series, right? And we already got that scenario with Marc and Steven being like, I didn't do it. Oh, I don't know. It's like I thought for sure in that moment, I was like, oh, we're about to see it now. Like we're actually about to see Jake. Like, and we only needed like 30 seconds or a minute. Like, like just a little something. But the fact that they cut it out completely, I was disappointed. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
And I'll explain to you the reason why they can't show that scene. And it's because Disney's inability to make a show rated R. As a PG-13 show, you cannot show human blood on a TV show.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't even think that was necessary for that part of the plot. You could have had Layla and Marc or whatever take down Harrow, and then just had that end credit scene, and I don't think anything would have been lost. I don't think any.
And I don't necessarily think that it needs to be. I think as bloody as people make it sound. Like I've been hearkening last couple of weeks back to a couple of in fact two episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, where you got the fight in the little warehouse where Battlestar basically gets killed, and you can see when he hits the stanchion, he broke his neck or something. He's dead. Like they didn't hide it, they didn't cut away. It happened. And then with the fight in the next episode where Falcon and Bucky have to take the shield away from John Walker, they basically broke his arm on camera. You don't have to necessarily get bloody, but you can do some more stuff, I think, than we've seen. So I think the blackout is because they don't want to acknowledge Jake in these 6 episodes, because then you have to acknowledge Jake.
But that makes sense. They did that at the end of episode 1. When you see Moon Knight beating the crap out of that jackal, you see that action. He's beating the crap out of him on the floor. You can do that because it's a monster, but it's not a human.
Right.
And that's where it becomes a big issue. So when they start exploring the supernatural, when they fight Werewolf by Night, when they fight Blade, any of these characters that are like supernatural that are not humans, you can beat the crap out of them and show it on TV as a PG-13. But unless you change it to a rated R, you'll never see that bloody action that you want to see as a Moon Knight fan.
I think they still could have done it though in PG-13 land through Jake's perspective. I think they still could have given it to us. It didn't have to be like the most bloody, gory, violent scene, but it could have been more than we had, up until then.
And don't forget the other 2 times the other 2 times we saw Jake, especially I'll discount episode 1 because he was standing there alone with the blood on his hands and everything. But in episode 3, he was literally pulling out a bloody machete out of the one guy he killed during the blackout. So you got a taste.
Yeah, and we have enough of the taste. I don't think, I like Moon Knight. I like that he's violent. I like that he's angry and kind of batshit. But you don't need to show all that blood to still have an effective thing, which they were doing okay with at the end. But then that weird ass blackout during that fight just didn't. It's just the last fight, the middle fight, that episode, that garbage episode 3, sure, whatever. But episode 6 in the final resolution. It was such a missed beat for me, like an emotional, no.
Yeah. And Taylor, I agree with you. They could have defeated Harrow with Layla now as this new superhero.
Yeah.
And just Marc and Steven now as this kind of new merged.
Yeah, it would have given that character at least a little bit of closure for the series.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I will say I was very kind of almost upset at the end before the end credit rolled. I was like, so I was watching it with my boyfriend and we just sat there and looked at each other and we were like, are you kidding me? That's the end. Then the end credit came and we were like, oh, all right, thank God they did that. Otherwise, I would have thrown the remote.
everyone knew. I think most people knew there was going to be some kind of end credit. It's Marvel.
Yeah, I knew there was going to be. I knew, but I didn't know. All I heard was that it was very important.
If we did not get this post-credit scene with Jake Lockley and the show had just ended like that, it's kind of it's a strange ending. I found the entire final 15 minutes of this episode very confusing. I mean, you don't know what is what at that point.
Yeah, and then they wake up and they're still chained to the bed, and Layla's not there, and Harrow's there walking. If that would have just ended that way, like, I think, we'd be right.
So what are the chances that all of this happened in Marc/Steven's bed? Because during the post-credit scene, like, we're all excited. Right. We're all excited for Jake. I'm excited for the limo with the Spector's tag on it.
Yeah.
Because that was I almost like that more than I like Jake, the Spector mobile. But when you first see Harrow in the hospital, he has a cup full of sand, and by the time and when he reaches for it, he tips it over and it's coffee. So I don't think that is a physical hospital that Harrow is in. I don't know.
You mean Sienkiewicz Hospital?
Right, yes. the Sienkiewicz psych ward. I don't know if that's actually a physical place, or if this is still going on in what Tyrell said, where the duat, like, people can't actually imagine the afterlife, so whatever you're used to is kind of what you see. I'm wondering if Harrow was already in the afterlife, or because that's the only way I can explain to myself the sand turning into coffee when it falls over. I don't know.
Right.
I did like, and I played this song 5 times today. I did like that they ended the episode with the Man Without Love song that they started episode 1 with.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm really quirky, so I like the song is like one of those Guardians of the Galaxy songs now, and it stuck with me.
That too. Yeah. And I didn't notice the sand coffee thing. I've only seen the episode once so far. I want to watch.
I got to rewatch that. I don't remember that part.
But I hope it's not like just a mindscape. I mean, maybe Harrow was going crazy because you can see him. I mean, he's clearly different than
disheveled.
Disheveled. It's like some time has gone by. He's kind of maybe losing it. So maybe he's hallucinating, and kind of going crazy a little bit because of everything that's happened and where he is, and now he's sharing a body with Amit, and that's what I hope. I hope they're not going to make that all, because if that's in the mindscape, then Jake Lockley isn't real,
Right.
And he has to.
I had this theory, and I may stick with it, that Jake has been real this whole time. Well, we know Jake's been real this whole time, but I feel like Khonshu has actually been working with or playing Jake against Marc and Steven during the blackouts. I feel like Khonshu knows better than anybody what this third alter is, and I think he's been playing everybody.
I mean, that's implied a little bit. I mean, certainly that Jake is like, his ace in the hole. Like, these guys don't even know about Jake, and like, you think okay, Marc is Moon Knight, but guess what? He's not the only Moon Knight, right?
Now did
almost like Jake's like the real Moon Knight, like, because he's the biggest badass of them all, apparently.
Now, did Khonshu create the Jake persona?
We don't talk about it. Yeah,
that's a good question.
So the DID thing says that the trauma usually creates the alters.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he was traumatized somewhere between the Marine Corps and being a mercenary, maybe that made Jake necessary.
Or it could have been
I don't know.
The Bushman desert origin could have made it. That could have been the trauma too. Like, so he could have been created right when he turned into Moon Knight, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Or maybe even more recently when his mom passed away,
Yeah. True.
So,
Maybe.
but I think it was definitely more recent than Steven, and maybe that's why him and Steven have this kind of bond. Even though they didn't really know about each other till recently, they still have lived together and coexisted since childhood. But I think Jake is more of a recent addition, so he hasn't really had time to make himself known until all these events. I did want to ask you guys, whose money do you think we're dealing with? Because we have the Spector limo, which would be Mr. Knight thing. So we have, but Stephen Grant is Mr. Knight in this show. Marc Spector, I guess Jake could be using Marc Spector's money without him knowing. I don't know. What do you guys think about like where the money is coming from?
I don't know. They never really explained what Marc was up to when he wasn't Moon Knighting.
Right. Yeah. So we found money in Marc's bag in that containment thing in episode 2. So I assume it's Marc's money. They've never said where he gets it from because he doesn't seem like a traditional. Unless he saved some of his mercenary money.
Yeah, he's in HR.
Maybe he bought Bitcoin or something really early. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
he's got an OnlyFans.
It must have been from a different job because if in that episode, in episode 2, that was Chinese currency.
And he had a gun and multiple passports.
Yeah, he could have just a mercenary in.
It just kind of messes with me because it's like, in the comics, Stephen Grant was the millionaire. And now it's like, okay, well, Marc, we don't even know where the money.
Well, I mean, also in most cases, Marc should technically be more violent than Jake. Like Marc's the Marine / mercenary / boxer.
Yeah.
I think one or two writers have made Jake more violent.
There is one run where he is more violent, but it's one that I haven't read and I forget what it is, but I have heard there's one.
Is it the Vengeance?
I know the Bemis run right before the McKay run that just started. Max Bemis made Jake the person that Marc needs to talk to if he needs to push himself further. And he may not be the first person. But Marc should definitely technically be the more violent person.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think they just switched that up for
no reason again.
Yeah. But it definitely makes Jake a more intriguing
from
character.
Somewhere. I don't technically agree, but it does come from somewhere.
And that part doesn't bug me. The fact that Jake is the hidden violent personality, that doesn't bug me at all. Like, there's a lot of other shit in the show that bugs me, but that's not one of it.
Yeah. I'm just glad we know that there is money coming from somewhere, and there is like an actual Moon Knight.
I mean, how do y'all think Khonshu afforded that suit?
Right.
I like Aggressively's comment here. The fact that everyone is having this conversation about what is real means they nailed the character's gimmick. Yeah. That's a good point.
Kind of, sort of. I do believe at some points in this show it's intentionally confusing. I don't know if that's best for TV, but I think it is. It's to some degree supposed to confuse everybody.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure, because they're trying to make you relate to how it must feel to like not know who you are and not be in control of your own body, and I think they did a good job with that. I had one more question I wanted to ask you guys too. So when Marc and Steven are in the last kind of Dr. Harrow scene where they notice the bloody shoes and they're like, we're gonna go save the world. How the hell are they gonna save the world if they don't have Khonshu anymore? They don't have powers anymore. What do you guys think that meant? Like, what's their plan?
Street level Moon Knight.
Yeah, street level Moon Knight. But
I think that's the plan. What I really wanted before they left the hospital was bed sheet and pillowcase Moon Knight, but we didn't get that.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people wanted that. Yeah.
but I do think because most of the time he is regular street level human powered Moon Knight.
Yeah, they didn't really.
They
they didn't. At least they didn't try to shoehorn more of that in. Like, because some writers have like Moon Knight being stronger when the moon is full. Like at least if they had to try to add more of that in, it would have really lost everybody. I think.
Hey, War Machine Punisher and Sheena joining us as well.
Yeah. Hey, it's my girl.
Cool. Yeah, they're. That's a good question. What was their plan without Khonshu? Of course, it turns out Khonshu's still very much there. They don't realize it.
Right.
He's gonna play the background for a while.
Yeah.
But
if you guys need me, I may come save you.
But they must know something could possibly be going on because they still chained themselves to the bed.
That's
what made me wonder if indeed most of this happened in his head in the bed overnight. I would love it if like there was a calendar that said Friday, because we started this on a Thursday. I would love to see a Friday calendar somewhere in his room, in his flat.
I think that they're just, they've seen glimpses of someone that's not them. So maybe they're like, okay, look, like Khonshu said, we're off the hook, but like we still can't really trust it. Steven had the whole setup already. So maybe he's like, all right, just in case, Marc, like let's do this.
I can't believe you stay here.
But what? I had not really thought about that until you just mentioned it now, was that, Marc and Steven, by the end of this, they're buds now. They're cool with each other. Why is he still chained to the bed?
He's just into it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
And there's 2 goldfish now, which is very sweet, very cute.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that was a nice touch. Yeah.
Also, maybe a little messy. That's a pretty nice little flat. Lots of books. You're right. You can walk to work. You get a coffee shop. You get Crowley in the cold. You're fine.
Well, he probably doesn't have a job anymore. He's
that's all right.
All this time off. MIA.
He's got Marc's money. Marc's like, I got this, Steven. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll cover the rent.
So when
isn't London expensive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I feel like I don't know how he does it. Well, I guess it was his mom's flat technically, but I don't know how he does it on the salary that he, I think, gets at the museum working the gift shop.
Talk about that. Let's talk about the cast of Friends living.
or any number of shows taking place in New York where it's like the most unrealistic apartments.
I did want to say, so Peter had mentioned he thinks Steven and Jake are the same age. That's what I originally thought too. And I'm still kind of on the fence because my original theory was that exactly what he said, that Jake was created to actually take the abuse, because that's why Steven doesn't remember it. If Steven was the only alter at the time, Steven would have remembered the abuse, I would think, but I'm with Peter there. So, but also Jake could have been created much, much later. And, maybe Marc is the one who took the abuse as a child. I don't know. They didn't really explain it too well, but maybe it's because Jake was left until the end credit scene. So we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had that in the back of their head the entire damn thing, and they just had to make the rest of it fit. They're like, we need Jake at the end credits, and we'll get everything around that. We'll figure out the rest as we go.
Yeah.
Now, so this is my. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I had something corny to say. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, with a show like this, they kind of it's been hard to tell with some of these Marvel shows whether they're going to be, one and done, or there's going to be more seasons. Now, when this came out, it kind of sounded like Oscar Isaac was only interested in doing this one season. But then recently it came out that they made some change, I guess, somewhere, stating this officially as a season finale as opposed to a series finale. implying that we will get a season 2. And the way it ends, I think it's safe to say they at least want there to be a season 2.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a question. I think it was smoke and mirrors and Feige double speak and here, Oscar, 10% more if you tell everybody you're not coming back.
Yeah.
Well, someone was saying
I think they were playing us the whole time. They advertised it too much. They talked about it too much. There was no way they were gonna roll out the red carpet and dish the character after one season of a show. Whether there's another show or whether he sporadically drops in other places or not, I don't know. But I don't think I never thought there was a way that they would ditch this character after one show and that's it.
They do that with all the series though. They hype the crap out of them and then they change their minds afterwards. Obviously, this was different because they introduced a brand new character into the into Disney, and then obviously he's going to be later on in the actual MCU. But that's why there was a lot of doubt whether this was going to be just one season and then he's just going to be in the movies.
Right.
And that's why they probably weren't sure.
I think this was
people thought.
Extra. Sorry. I think, do you feel like that this one was extra hyped up though? Like more than anything we've seen so far? I feel like there was extra hype. Either that or I was just actually paying attention this time.
I think so. That's me too. I'm like, did all the other shows have like commercials during the week for the next episode? Do I remember that? But remember is not my strong suit, so I don't know if I remember like WandaVision or Loki having commercials for episode 3 and 4 and so on.
Oh yeah, they all did.
Yeah,
a lot of people were talking about WandaVision leading up to that, and I do remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
The only things they probably don't do as much is the Star Wars related shows.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Like the Disney Plus shows, particularly, they do quite a bit.
So someone was saying that there's no way we can have a season 2 because and Flash, you were with me. It was Jeff, our friend Jeff Geek Driven, was saying no way we can have season 2 because they submitted it for an award for a limited series, and you can't do that if it's going to continue on.
Well, this is
change the name or something like that.
No, this is it. This is what I just mentioned. They switched it from series finale to season finale.
Right.
That's what it was, right?
Yeah. Yep. I get that, but someone was saying that they can't have a season 2 because it was already submitted like for an award for a limited series, and it can't be a limited series if it's more than one season.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But then we were saying, okay, well, it could be like Moon Knight blank blank. Like they could just add a word.
You have Marc Spector Moon Knight or Fist of Khonshu Moon Knight.
Yeah, they'll change something. Yeah.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Or the Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Or the Midnight Sun. Exactly.
Or Jake Lockley. Period.
Yeah.
The Revenge of Jake from State Farm.
Fisting Khonshu, Part 2.
Moon Knight and Khonshu.
But so, personally, even though we all just kind of said, okay, this show was okay, I still would love a season 2 because I think there's so much more potential there. I kind of knew going into this that they were going to focus heavily on the Egyptian stuff. And it turns out I was right. This was all like the Egyptian Moon Knight stuff. I would love to see more street level stuff combined with that more supernatural, maybe some vampires or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of potential for a season 2. So I definitely
I would love a season 2 with a different either showrunner or different main director.
Okay.
I don't think the main director, the guy directed 4 episodes, I don't think his directing style fits Moon Knight that well. So
he got all of his Egypt out of his system. So
yeah.
You've lived the dream. You've put Egypt on the map.
he did have some clever stuff with the directing when he was dealing with two different personalities, and that was fine. But I didn't love the fight scenes. I didn't love the action choreography. I didn't love any of the rest of that stuff that he had in his episodes. So,
right.
I will say I appreciated the fight in episode 6 more than the one in episode 3.
Yep.
In episode 3, I was like, why? Because you can tell the whole fight in episode 3 was some sort of CGI-ish fight.
You mean the rooftop fight where the guys like carving the ground for some reason with shiny knives that don't really look shiny? That was the worst episode of this thing.
Are you talking about the Anton Mogart scene?
That was yeah. That whole episode was
where he's impaled by spears.
Right. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I didn't mind that, but the actual fight between he and the other and the henchman, I wanted a more natural looking fight. Like the scene with Steven in episode 6 is kind of running down the street with the sticks and pops like 3 or 4 guys. Mm-hmm. I assume that's a person doing that. I wanted more of that than the CGI-ish fight in episode 3.
Yeah.
Where I don't feel like that was a person at all to me.
That's true. Next season we need the moon copter.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that full Batman, full Bruce Wayne with the moon copter. The scene where Marc hit that dude with the axe was the best fight. Yeah. I want to see the moon copter, obviously. And Frenchie. So there's another thing they hinted at. Frenchie, we never got Frenchie.
So that was just a random Easter egg.
Yeah, I mean, Crawley kind of was as well. He was essentially an Easter egg, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like they all have room in the future. Like I said, we've already said that they've overstuffed the 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Any more people, even people who are supposed to be important, any more people you throw in, you have to do more and stuff more into the 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So I think us knowing they exist is good enough for now, and then we'll see more moving forward. I hope
so too.
Yeah, next season we need the diner owner. I can't remember her name.
Gina.
Oh yeah,
Gina and the 2 kids that go on adventures that no kid should ever be allowed on. That's what I
was really hoping even just to see like a Gina's Diner sign or a business card or like something. Yeah, but they clearly prioritize the Egyptian mythology and all that over,
Also, is this before or after Frenchie got his legs cut off? Because Frenchie might not actually come back and see Marc. Like being Marc's friend is really, really hard. Frenchie may actually not come back.
Yeah.
When did he get his legs cut off? Was that? I don't know.
I forget when he got his legs cut off. But I know in the bottom, after Marc fights Bushman and he's all beat up and popping pills and drinking because he's at the bottom, Crawley gets him to come out and come see Frenchie, who has a restaurant. And both of Frenchie's legs are cut off from some other adventure with Marc. And then some guy beats Frenchie up in this alley, and then Marc comes out and takes a sword out of his cane and like stabs the guy in the jaw.
At some point, Marc can't walk either. Like he gets so beat up that his kneecaps are shattered or something too, and I can't remember what that's from. But
that's what I always wonder about, like regular human superheroes. Like sooner or later, you have to start showing some of this wear and tear.
Yeah,
I liked the bottom, and it was probably my first favorite. Because I was like, they actually showed like the wear and tear on Marc's body from throwing himself around for years. Like Batman's been in worse shape in worse places. And he's just fine. Like, no, there's a price for being a human and trying to fight superhumans and all kind of things for years.
Yeah, and
that's a whole nother tangent.
Exactly, the human knee is not exactly the most perfectly designed It gets fucked up pretty easily. So, I guess I if you guys have any final thoughts, I think maybe we'll wrap this up soon. Actually, before that, if there is going to be a season 2 of this show, do you guys have any predictions as to what it might be about, who might be in it? Personally, I think one possibility, of course, was someone they mentioned was Randall Spector's brother, who Shadow Knight in the comics. What do you think about that? Is that someone you could see? Probably.
I mean, they killed his brother.
Right, yeah, but what does that mean? It's a comic book show. They could just say.
I was about to ask, do you think he's not really dead, or somehow come back to life?
He's dead. I don't think he's dead, or drowns there. So I don't know.
I don't think that they're gonna do that because they made the brother's death and the mom's mental state and the abuse and everything tied into, like, they made it such a heavy thing. Right. I feel like it would be wrong to come back and be like, oh, psych, like, he's not actually dead. Like, let's bring him back. I don't know.
Would you be surprised if they actually did that? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
I would be surprised. And because of the way that they handled this show.
It was such a heavy plot point in episode 5 that, like,
that's true.
If you put it in there, then it's like, well, it's just another misstep in the direction of the show. Which I guess it would be common considering the series.
If you do it, that would have to it would have to also hurt Marc. You would have to show more emotional issues with Marc, bringing him back, and with that destroying his mother's relationship. You have to. There's a lot of heavy lifting, I think, to make it work if he were to come back.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They could give us Anton Mogart's son, the other Midnight Man. Because I don't think
Mogart is dead.
He could not be dead either.
I don't know if they'll replace the actor, but I don't think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead either.
And since he was only in one episode, they could either replace the actor and bring that character back, or they could go with his son, because we didn't know too much about him. He could totally have a young son who's a teenager, maybe that we'd see. Or Bushman. I mean, maybe Jake is going to try to get revenge against Bushman.
Obviously, I think they could.
Moon Knight does not have a great rogue gallery.
There's not a lot to choose from.
Stained Glass Scarlet, maybe they could go that route.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, or maybe they'll make Marlene a separate woman that Jake meets in the city, and like there'll be like another woman. I don't know, but Stained Glass Scarlet,
or zombie Randall Spector. Right.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, zombie. Yeah. Or there's the Morpheus, the dream demon guy. He's pretty crazy.
Morpheus,
and that could go along with, like, the waking, sleeping kind of theme. Maybe there's some way they can use that. I don't know. Who else? Are we missing anyone? Who else? I mean, it could
the Midnight Man or whatever, that guy that
Midnight Man. Yeah. Because his son later becomes like a sidekick of Moon Knight, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Is that why he's so angry? Because right after the bottom, he is Moon Knight's villain for that next story, but he's got all kind of mechanical parts. Like, did he get messed up being Moon Knight's sidekick?
I don't know, but you're talking about that 90s arc where it had Punisher in it, right? And Night Thrasher. And
no, this had to be around 2006 or 7. I don't. If you've ever seen the covers, they say Casualty of War, and there's one with Spider-Man, there's one with Moon Knight and Captain America. There's one with the Moon Knight and the Punisher.
Oh, no, that's all. That's Bendis.
But in that story, Midnight Man's son is looking for Moon Knight, and he's desecrating people and making like clocks out of people's blood on the floor, trying to get Moon Knight to come out and find him. And I think he has a personal beef, but I don't remember if it's because he used to be a sidekick or not.
I think in the Marc Spector Moon Knight run, and then in the Amazing Spider-Man, there was like a crossover in the 90s where I think it was Midnight Man who became like a cyborg. Is that who I'm thinking of? Because he becomes, or is that Rant? No. Now I'm getting things confused.
Well, if you want to get into like the
Hitman,
you can do Crossfire.
Yeah, a lot of people were thinking about that because he could have been tied to him back in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know if you guys have any more.
We can skip to the president and use Zodiac.
It's not a bad idea.
Do you guys like the new run? Because I'm like, nah, it's okay to me.
I like it. I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah,
I think Jeff's doing a good job.
But I'm a few issues behind, but I was enjoying it. Yeah,
I think they need to start because it's pretty much ignored a lot of the mental health problems that Moon Knight has. So I think it needs to get into some of that a little more. But I'm not hating it. It's every issue is pretty much a one and done, but it's entertaining.
It's been okay to me. I guess maybe just the writing I wish was a little bit better. I don't know. But okay, you guys, I haven't really read any modern Moon Knight stuff. So this is my very first like modern Moon Knight experience, other than like some random issues. So maybe that's
where did you leave off at?
So basically like the Marc Spector Moon Knight run.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff after that. There's some bad stuff after that. But
I know. Yeah. But I think I'm gonna start with the Lemire stuff just because I like Lemire. I like him as a writer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I tried to start my Moon Knight journey with Lemire and I had no clue what was going on.
So it's just
I'm rereading it now. And I understand better now. But as my first Moon Knight run, it's like what is going on with this? Where did the space wolves come from, and why is he going from a cabbie to a director? Like, where is he going through this door, and why is there sand in New York? I had no clue about all this stuff that's going on with Moon Knight and why all of it was happening in the Lemire run.
Yeah. I'm excited because I like Jeff Lemire and I feel like that's right up his alley, everything I've heard about it. So I'm going to get the trade and check it out for sure.
Yeah, I'm currently reading it right now and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be right behind you with that. But then, people have mixed reviews on all the stuff like kind of in between the 90s and current. And some of it I've heard is trash. Some of it I've heard is pretty good. So I don't know.
You can probably you can safely skip the Bendis run. There's nothing in there. Honestly, it's not awful. It's just Bendis. And like he changes Moon Knight so much that it's not.
Is that the one where he becomes like Captain America and Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
He has those guys in his head and like moves to LA and starts working on a show.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
He wants to get to hang out with Echo before Echo finds out what it's like to hang out with Moon Knight around issue 10.
There's a couple moments in that series that are funny and fun, but it's just it doesn't add anything at all to the character, and it's just kind of like, all right, that was a thing.
I think your OG Moon Knight as an OG Moon Knight reader, I feel like the Bemis run may lead you astray.
Bemis run is very wordy. Oh my god. It's a lot. It's like reading a real book.
People, as far as I know, people did not like the Bemis run. This is the one right before McKay's.
Yeah,
they ended at 200. But people told me they didn't like it. They hated it.
Oh, you guys. So we were talking about villains. Just real quick, we never got Sun King at all because everyone, we thought Harrow. So that's one that's still left on the table.
That was the biggest speculation. Is Sun King.
It was the biggest speculation.
Yeah,
so big.
Well, that and the Harrow book itself.
The Harrow book,
that's season 2. Sun King. Start the speculation.
We could get we could get the Hatchet Man without the retcon that happened later, and have it like be like the Hatchet Man that's not his brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe they could switch that up a little bit and then forget about the fact that they tried to retcon it into whatever happened. You know what I mean?
Wait, 15 seconds. What is the Hatchet Man?
So it was he debuted in the Hulk backup story, and he it was originally Moon Knight's brother, Randall Spector, who was like this murderer. And then he died. And then in the 90s run, in the Marc Spector run, they retconned it so that was actually an imposter and that Marc's brother was alive and working for the
See, they can do it. They can do this. So I'm telling you, Randall Spector could be in season 2. Just say he's not dead.
But they would have to do it like opposite, though, right? Like,
not really. Like
that Hatchet Man was not his brother at all. And but his brother's like still dead, but the Hatchet Man character could still be a possibility.
Well, they could just frame it that like Khonshu has been fucking with Marc Spector since he was a kid.
Yeah,
and that like all the emotional beats that are real to Marc are not at all really what happened, and that like Randall's still alive and serving somebody else.
I mean, you did have the little bird thing when they were heading to the cave.
Yeah. So it would still, I don't think you'd lose the emotional impact. It's just kind of like it would shift it to Khonshu being the bad guy, which would probably be the most interesting thing they could do, I think.
I've been saying that Khonshu is like the Egyptian deity Nick Fury. He doesn't mean any harm, but he's going to get things done by any means necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess kind of one final thought I had on this was like kind of like every different writer's approach to this character has been a little different, and it has added something for good or ill to this character. And I'd say this show has done the same thing. It's given us like a different version of Moon Knight that no one's really, even diehard Moon Knight fans are not quite familiar with. This was, a little different in a lot of ways, but I'd say ultimately I like it. I do want that to see a second season. You guys have any final thoughts, I guess, on this show, or what you would be looking forward to?
I want season 2. I want something else. Like this can't be where it's left off forever in the MCU. And I love Oscar Isaac, so I hope he agrees to play Moon Knight again in some way, shape, or form. That's where I'll leave my last.
Agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well,
no. Yeah, I love Oscar Isaac. The rest you could take her. I can honestly take her.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, honestly, like he did great with what he had, and he was fantastic and carried the show on his back. So, he's screaming. He's like a running back that's got the entire defense trying to stop him and still manages to get a touchdown, but is just damn tired at the end of it. That's that's this show right now, and so like he needs a break. But like I'd like to see him carry the ball again, hopefully with less people in his way.
Just run him to the ground, huh?
Yeah.
Find it hard to believe they only signed up Oscar Isaac for 6 episodes. Well, I mean, it makes sense for him to negotiate a new contract.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
He was screwed over by Star Wars. He was screwed over by Apocalypse. I mean, he's like,
yeah.
Like I've been here before.
Yeah, like, this is his third rodeo.
I have experience.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, crossing my fingers we get Apocalypse in season 2. Just get throw another personality
there
in there. Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was good discussion, good way to kind of wrap up, this Moon Knight for now, I guess, until we see him again. You guys got what do you guys have coming up on your channels? Starting with you, Dave.
I got a few things going on. I got an AOK video dropping tomorrow. I'm gonna probably do my Moon Knight review as well. I think it'll be fairly quick because we talked about it pretty extensively here. And just a few other things, new comic book day stuff.
All right, awesome. How about you, TJ?
Probably close to the same thing. I may do a pro con type of Moon Knight review. Like it's a pretty short one. I've been saying I'm gonna do a short one, and they all end up being like 30 minutes. Like that is not what I intended. But I may do that, and I haven't done anything with last week's new comic book day or this week's new comic book day. So I'm gonna combine it all probably Saturday on Free Comic Book Day. Live or not, I don't know. We'll figure that out. But that's about it.
Cool. Taylor, what do you?
Tonight, while this is going on, I had Whatnot unboxing that dropped, where I might have picked up a pretty darn nice grail of a comic for $3.
Nice.
And then Monday, I have Unboxing Match, which is the YouTube's best comic book mystery box exchange show. And Average will be on it this week. And if anybody else in the panel wants to be on it, hit me up because it's a great time. Adrian can sort of vouch for it unless he's lying.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, new comic book day reviews. They're always positive. I love everything, and I never trash a book ever.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Yes. All right, and Michelle, what do you got going on?
So, yeah, I feel like we've talked enough about Moon Knight, but I will be back on my channel on Tuesday for my final recap and review of the finale with Roger. My co-host will be returning, and I'll have two other pretty cool Canadians joining me. We got Black Crown Comics and Comic Aussie, so I'm excited for that. And then the following week, I'll have my my May episode of Comic Book Spotlight, and this month's theme is going to be Doctor Strange because the movie, of course. So that should be pretty fun. And now that my Moon Knight reviews are about to be over, I'm excited to do some more comic book reviews, which I know, Drac, you and I have talked a little bit about, maybe doing a Gideon Falls collaboration. Speaking of Lemire, so yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty new on YouTube, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. And subscribe, find me on Instagram. I share books all the time, and I just love doing things like this and hanging with the community. So thank you, Adrian, for the invite.
Oh, thank you guys for coming, and everyone's links are down below as well. And Switch, it looks like you just missed it, but you can always go back and watch it from the beginning, and I encourage you to do so because I thought this was a great talk about this show. Like I said, I kind of feel really Moon Knighted out now. I might take a little small break, but it's okay. I still love the character. Despite
Night Hall, we all feel about vampires. Jesus.
Hoping
there's
for a
no
lot
time
of
for a Moon Knight break. Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood comes out Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. That I am excited
Moon Knight.
Yes, we're gonna end it on a high note with that one. I'm excited for that. That better
with Jonathan Hickman batting leadoff.
That's sure not to be complex.
All right, guys. I guess we'll leave it with that. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for everyone who watched, and see you guys next time.